Hey there, I'm Anna from Soma Yerba, and I've been a nutritional counselor about 12, 13 years now. And there have been some common mistakes over the years that I wanted to talk to you today about. The first one, and the major one, is when I go into people's houses, I see that they're using the wrong tools. No wonder they don't like cutting up vegetables. So when I usually go into a kitchen, I see these little itty bitty cutting boards and little itty bitty knives. And it's super hard to cut up a quantity of vegetables, especially the vegetables that you're going to need to eat, with a little cutting board and a little knife like this. So what I like to use is a big cutting board, and I prefer wood. I think that you can wash it better, and a big knife. So I love to use ceramic knives. The reason I like to use ceramic knives is, first of all, they are sharper. And you can sharpen them with a sharpener for ceramic knives, but they also will stay sharper for longer. And the best part about a ceramic knife is that when you cut vegetables, they don't brown. There's something about how it cuts into the vegetable and cuts the cell itself that it doesn't oxidize. So when cutting lettuce and things like that, you won't see browning on the corners. Also, when I see people have peelers, usually it's this rusty little thing. These are ceramic peelers that I got off of Amazon, and they are fantastic. They do not rust. They are super sharp, and it makes peeling so much easier. While I don't peel the skins of vegetables off, what I do use the peeler for mostly is to cut vegetables thin for a salad. So I will peel a carrot into a salad. Another thing that I see people do is use the wrong oil. And if you're going to use the wrong oil, you're going to add really bad fats into the food that you're making. And we're trying to make all of this healthy, right? So here I have an example of an organic extra virgin olive oil and organic extra virgin coconut oil. And you always want to get extra virgin because that means that it's not filtered. So you don't want any filtering because that denatures the process. And you want the full fat. I personally do not cook with a lot of fat, so the less you use of these oils, the better, especially in terms of weight loss. But you want to get a whole, real oil to cook with. The other thing that I wanted to say are delicate oils, such as olive oils, you want to set aside and try not to heat them. So don't cook with the olive oil, use olive oil as a seasoning. You want to use things for cooking like sesame oil, coconut oil. Those are really good, heartier oils with a higher smoking point. So it makes your food much healthier to do it that way. Another thing that you want to do is to get whole real salts. If you use whole real salts, you won't have as much cravings. First of all, having this real salt will help satisfy that salty taste that you need, that craving for a salty taste, and it will also help avoid unnecessary sweet cravings. So a lot of times people will eat refined salt and then they'll crave refined sugar, and we're trying to cut that down. You want to get a real whole salt. So stay away from those white salts that are very pourable. Know that they have anti-caking agents in them, and they also have added chemicals in them. For example, iodized salt has added iodine in it. So you want to kind of stay away from all of that. I usually have a pinch bowl next to my stove and use that to add some salt flavor into my cooking. Another mistake that I see people do is avoid sweets. So let's think back for a second. The tongue has the biggest receptors for sweet. In other words, most of the tongue is needed for the flavor of sweet. So there's got to be something to that, right? We do need sweet, and that's why we crave sweets. So I try and help my clients not avoid sweets, but use whole real sweets in their cooking, in their mixing, so that way they get that satisfied and don't need refined sweets. So some of that could be examples of maple syrup, right? So whole grain maple syrup is really great to put into oatmeal. You could put this into smoothies. I put this into vegan fruit frozen pies. So there's lots that you can do with this, and you'll still get that sweet flavor, but without still craving more sweets and more sweets and more sweets. Another thing to do is cacao nibs. Cacao nibs will give that taste of chocolate without that added sweetener. So instead of chocolate chips, cacao nibs are a really great way to go. This has more of a taste of bitter chocolate or dark chocolate. So if you like that fatty, milkier chocolate, you're going to need a sweetener added to it, like maple syrup. But this is really a great way to go, and actually has some nutrition of its own. And what we're looking for here is satiety, right? So once I can get you satisfied, you won't be craving and wanting other things that aren't as good for you. And then another thing I wanted to talk about is the much looked over date. So dates are super, super sweet. In fact, a lot of people don't like dates because they are too sweet. But the idea here is that we can use dates in cooking instead of sugar to get that sweetness without still craving more and more and more. So even if dates are too sweet for you regularly, if you were to eat a date, consider adding dates into the smoothie if it needs a little bit of sweetness, into your oatmeal if that needs some sweetness, into your cooking. Dates are a great way to get a whole real food sweetener with all the fiber and the nutrition in it, so that way it won't leave you devoid of nutrients and wanting some kind of refined sweetener. I see a lot of people that are hungry or craving sweets or craving salt that are actually dehydrated. So what I tell people to do is to get a big mason jar, and you want to at least have this filled 4 times and drink it with water, right? 4 times this at least with water in it. If you want to do other things, great. For example, I do a whole thing of a mason jar with warm lemon water in the morning. But this out on the counter will be this constant reminder that you need to be drinking water, drinking water, drinking. And find out what cravings are real, right? You don't want to be eating a chocolate bar when really what you needed was a glass of water, right? You want to eat the chocolate bar because you want to eat a chocolate bar and you want to stay hydrated. So at least 4 of these. If you have coffee, if you have tea, that doesn't count. It needs to be plain, real water. Those are my major tips for the day. I hope they're helpful.